Hello, gang. Alfred Einstein here. How you doing? Hope everything is doing great. So today we're going to talk about the truth about tax deed sales in Florida. Not that there's a lot of stories out there about the lies, but there's some things that you need to know if you're going to buy tax deeds in Florida. And let's take a look at what our first slide tells us. There's very few nice properties. And I'm talking Florida tax deed sales. I don't know how it is where you live. But in Florida, you don't get real nice properties that go to the tax deed sale all that often. Because you got to think about it now. Most cases when somebody owns a house, the property also has a mortgage on it. So if the mortgage company gets together and they decide that they're not going to pay the taxes on a piece of property in order to redeem it, so it doesn't get lost at a tax deed sale, it has to be pretty cruddy. You know, they're not going to let something beautiful go away at a tax deed sale. So that's the first thing that you have to know. You're going to run up against a lot of cruddy properties in tax deed sales in Florida. Number two, there's a lot of cancellations. Now, why do you suppose that is? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because when somebody owes money on a tax deed, it's generally in the thousands of dollars that they owe, not in the tens or hundreds of thousands. So it's a lot easier to redeem or to stop a tax deed sale because of the skinny money. It's not a lot of money when you take into consideration that there's probably a mortgage on it, the value's a lot higher than the taxes. So that's why there's a lot of cancellations. And if in your county there's not a lot of cancellations, then you need to learn how to work tax deeds before they come to sale because there's not enough people doing it. In Florida, there's 100 properties listed for sale and there'll be 10 that'll go. Because in Florida, the investors are extremely knowledgeable and extremely aggressive, and they're not going to let it go to the tax deed sale if they can help it. Florida tax deed sales, you do not receive clear title. That's a problem, but it's correctable. There's only 3 ways to clear title in Florida on tax deeds. Number 1, pay the taxes for 4 consecutive years. So if you buy a property at a tax deed sale and you intend to rent it out, you're going to be a landlord, then this is not going to cost you any money other than the taxes. So the taxes will become due every November. You pay the taxes for 4 consecutive years. Then all you have to do is go to a title company and say, listen, I bought this at a tax deed sale 4 years ago. I paid the taxes for 4 consecutive years. Please issue me a title insurance policy that will allow you to sell the property to somebody else. So it's not going to cost you anything other than the taxes. Number 2, you can file a quiet title lawsuit. Now, for those of you that don't know, I've done quite a lot of videos and training on short sales. And I file, my determining factor as to whether I file a quiet title lawsuit or hire a specialty title underwriter is if there's surplus. If there's surplus involved, I'm going to file a quiet title lawsuit because I want the judge to order that I'm going to be entitled to some of the money. That also is after I have a long conversation with the homeowner and I get them to sign an agreement. But the long story short, the quiet title will cost you money, but if there's a surplus involved and you can negotiate a piece of that, this is the best way to get that all done in one ball. And lastly, specialty title underwriter, you can hire them. They're going to charge you about the same amount as an attorney will charge you for a quiet title lawsuit, less costs, which is going to be probably around $3,000. So the specialty title underwriter has their own set of rules. I'm not going to get into that in today's video, but I've gone into it in others. But those are your 3 choices. I'm usually not a landlord, so I don't pay the taxes for 4 consecutive years. Again, if there's a quiet title lawsuit I'm considering, there has to be a surplus that I'm going to get a piece of, and the specialty title underwriter gets it done fast. But they're all going to cost you except for the first one. Okay, next one. Mortgages are extinguished. Yay. That's great news for Florida tax deed investors that mortgages are extinguished, but municipal liens remain. Now, the scary part about a municipal lien is it doesn't have to be recorded to be valid. I know. Isn't that crazy? So their liens don't have to be recorded. So you can't confirm what the amount is before you go to the sale unless you call the county. Now, unfortunately, in Broward County, If you want to know what the unrecorded liens are, you have to write away for estoppel information. And you have to pay a fee. And it takes 3 weeks. And if you start doing your tax deed research 3 weeks out, chances are 90% of them are going to be canceled. So you got to figure out how to handle those unrecorded municipal liens. Sometimes you can tell from previous foreclosures. Sometimes you can tell from the property condition. So those are some little tips that you have to be aware of. Don't think that it's a happy day because the mortgage is gone, because those liens still remain. But they're negotiable, depending upon your county. Again, I'm Alfred Einstein, also known as Rich Meyer in the real world. My company is Pockets of Specialized Knowledge. I do have a podcast, the Real Estate Puzzle Podcast. I think I've got 9 or 10 episodes up on Spotify now. That's my website. There's my phone number. I'll move it over. See, 954-593-3550. Remember to attend your real estate club meetings. Very important, especially if you're new. Go on my website. I have all kind of stuff. I have videos, my YouTube channel you probably already found, and I offer coaching, mentoring, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm cheap, but I'm not inexpensive. So in any event, thanks a lot. See you next time.